The streets are cold-hearted, no love in the drug games. The crack epidemic is with so many thugs slain. Victims of Satan's bait, chasing power and wealth. It's the love of money that's evil, not the money itself. It's the difference between the two. Try to keep that in mind. The most poisonous recipe, greed and envy combined. That's just part of the package deal from the start of your grind. Right along with those smiling faces who'll be crossing the line. You will find the dollar signs often lead to the sea. The body beneath the sheet, surfing slicker than sleep. Sowing weeds in with the weak, crooked grin when they creep. Double crossing, scheming against you, keep your business discreet. They starving, they want to eat, about to run in your residence. Demand the codes of the safe, search the bricks of the president. Left for dead with no hesitance, discarded all evidence. Hate to ride from Satan and it's been that way ever since. A trap in the dead end, get out while you can. Before it plays the body dark between you and your man. Trust turns into betrayal, not according to plan. So be prepared for the worst when you play in your hand. Everybody is a suspect, family.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Inspire. I am your host, Sha Hayes, and to the left of me, or right wherever way you're looking, is Keyana, our founder and producer of this amazing web series where we talk to people on their career and professional journey so we can get an inside look of what it took to make it to where they are today. And today we are so happy to have with us Charles Eclipse Bonds. I've known him for so long and know him for other names, but he is a talented songwriter, poet, a musician, producer. He was once in a rap group called Doc Alley that I was fortunate enough to manage and be a part of their journey as well. And he's also a music director for a nonprofit organization helping teens throughout their process and encouraging them and using rap music to inspire them as well. But we are so happy to have him here. Without further ado, let's welcome Eclipse.
Hello.
Hey there. How are you?
Good. How about yourself?
Wonderful. So I was so excited to see that you has this amazing video and got the cinematography and the editing and all that stuff going on with that. So we'll get into that later. But before we do, let's talk about, I know when you had sent over about your background, I had known your dad had been a musician, that you had grown up in a household around music. Yeah. What was some of your earlier influences and how did that inspire you today?
My earliest influence was my dad. My father was a singer in a band as well as a drummer. So when I was young, like the age of kindergarten, my father used to take me to his gigs with him, like when he would just play with his band at the club or different things he was doing. And he would actually use me to open the show up for them. He would just put me on stage and he would say something like, do Michael Jackson, or he'd make me dance or something, and then put those dollars at me. I was using to open my father's show up, yeah.
That's amazing. So he had you out there before you even knew what it meant to be out there and what it was. So were you always drawn to the stage, or was it more your father pushing you there?
It was, I think I wasn't really drawn to it on my own until a little later. Like I kind of just was living life as a kid, just doing my thing, and it kind of just naturally fell into place. Like one time when I was in kindergarten, when I went to West Elementary in Washington, D.C., when I used to live uptown, there was a talent show that we were doing where I was in the talent show, but I had a small part. And as a kid, I just started drifting into my own world. I started dancing and like singing around and stuff. And people in charge of the talent show caught a glimpse of what I was doing. And next thing I know, they flipped the whole show around and made me the front runner star of the show.
Oh, wow.
So it was kind of like from that day, I started looking at it like, I think I want to do this kind of stuff right here.
So it kind of called you. So from that point on, you had a love for the stage, but did you ever have anything else you wanted to do, or was it always directed towards music?
It was always mostly directed towards music. I mean, at one time I wanted to box, but music just fell into place more natural. I mean, I actually did box like amateurs when I was young, just like for a Boys and Girls Club, but that was short-lived. Music was like my first love, and I'm still at it today.
Yeah, and that's awesome though, because it does let people know that even though you go through these journeys in life and you're now get to a point where you're like still doing it? Because you at one point was in a rap group, Dark Alley, which is how we know each other.
Right.
And talk about the relationship in terms of being in a group and now breaking out on your own and becoming a solo artist.
Well, the Dark Alley journey was definitely a great memory. It's funny how we even came together as a group, because originally I wasn't even an original member of Dark Alley. Dark Alley was a whole different group before they even met me.
Okay. Y'all had a Supremes moment, okay?
Yeah, Dark Alley just became a real group, like on a whole nother level once I came into the picture, but it was actually like 5 other people. It was, Ron Razor, it was Gibbs, it was Mo Digger, and it was 2 other guys. So the way that I even met them was my brother. This is a funny story. My brother, who knows LaRon and Mo Digger, who was our producer, I kept telling my brother, like, I can rap. I'm really good. All I need is some beats.
Yeah.
So my brother never heard me rap a day in his life. He just assumed I sucked. So he goes to LaRon and Mo Digger and say, I want y'all to meet my little brother. So he tells LaRon, like, I want you to go over there and spit some of your raps for him, and I want you to crush him and make him never want to rap again. My little brother think he can rap, but he's some trash. So LaRon came over, Mo came over, he played some beats. So I'm thinking, finally, I met who I've been looking for. Now I can try to actually write some songs and put some stuff together. So Ron spit a couple verses. We were just going back and forth. I'm thinking he's tight. He thinking I'm tight. And we looking at each other like, we sound good together. We should probably form a group.
Okay.
Well, my brother's playing. Obviously, it's funny because we got together because of him, but what his plan was, he got the opposite result.
So
Ron,
in your career.
before it even started.
Right.
Ron telling me, he was like, I got a name for us. What you think of the name Dark Alley? So I was like, yeah, I like that name. That name kind of resonates with me anyway. From a different perspective, because my closest uncle was murdered in a dark alley.
Wow.
So the name Dark Alley, I kind of was like, yeah, I like that. Let's go with that. I didn't even know Giz and them existed at the time.
Yeah.
The Dark Alley that as far as with me, him, and Giz, originally was just me and LaRon. Giz came to the picture later.
Wow. Okay. And isn't that something though? Because like just when you think about how that transition and evolution of the group became, and how eventually you all became so in sync that it just seemed like it just fit. You all kind of balanced each other out so much. So
exactly.
It was so great to see that did happen. And it was one of those things when you think about being in a group, when you are out there, what are some, if you think about people who are starting in the business and trying to start out as a group, what kind of advice would you give them, especially in a group? Because it has to be a little bit harder because it's not just you're managing others and personality. Right. What advice would you give people even thinking about or are in a group and trying to manage that?
I would say that when you in a group, it's less work because you sharing a song, it's one verse piece most of the time unless you orchestrate it differently. But I would figure that when you in a group, you have to know how to master the chemistry that's there. Like chemistry is important. Like you mentioned, we all just naturally knew how to feed off of each other and we were in sync and it just worked. So you got to pay attention to your group members and you got to know everybody's strengths and weaknesses and how to combine all of those together to figure how to get the best product out of what you're putting together.
And so part of what you're doing now, and although you're not doing it as far as just all the way as far as having a career in music, you also are a music director for a nonprofit organization. How did you? And that's so great because you're able to take something that you love and continue to do it and translate that into another job. So how did you get into that field and getting that role?
Well, actually, that happened because of Patrice. As you know, I was in the group Dark Alley, and I fell out with them in like 2004, something like that. It wasn't like a bad fallout where we were beefing and nothing like that, but we kind of just wasn't on the same page. So I decided I was going to go my separate way. I think solo, because I was actually going to come out with a solo album back then. It was a lot of people saying they wanted to hear me by myself. I need a solo album from you. And I started it and ended up never finish it. And I just left it alone for like 17 years.
Mm-hmm.
So Patrice, she heard some of the Dark Alley stuff when we first met, and she loved it. Short, funny story. She actually thought I was going to suck too when I kept telling her.
Funny. What is it?
She expected me to be trash too, but when she heard it, she loved it. So she had been trying to get me back into music for years, and I just wasn't really feeling it trying to do it. So she actually forced me back in and didn't give me an option. Because it's funny because she came to me one day because she was dealing with the nonprofit organization So It Else at first before me. Mm-hmm. And I guess she told them about me. So she just came to me one day and was like, oh, by the way, we're doing a hip hop literacy program with the kids on this day. Write a verse and put a program together. So I'm like, what? And it was already set with a date and everything. So I ended up doing that. It ended up being a hit. They ended up loving me and wanted me to come back. And then after some time went by, I started doing like virtual programs with the kids as well as in persons. And before I knew it, they made me director of music.
That's amazing. And that's so great because we have Patrice here with us now. And so I want to get a little bit kind of insight from her about her motivation to wanting to get you back into the music. So, you know, Dr. Patrice Holden is a part of this organization and helps you through your career in terms of music. So let's bring her on now so we can kind of get her insight about that. Hi there. Thank you for joining us. I think you're on mute.
Apologies.
Yes, no worries. Hi. So as Eclipse was telling us, you know, didn't originally see that the music in him in terms of the rapping. Well, what was it once you did that encouraged you to want to or wanted to empower him to want to get back into it?
Well, he's always said to me that he says to me, you listen to music differently from especially rap and hip hop. So when he told me he did music, Charles is very funny. So when we met and we established this really great friendship, he would do little raps while we were getting groceries or while we were just making dinner, whatever we were doing, he would do little raps, but they were horrible. I mean, they were horrible. And but then he kept saying after he did these little raps, you know, I rap. And I'm thinking, obviously you don't. But I didn't. So and he kept saying, I need you to listen to my music, and I want no parts of this. Because there's a trifecta of music in my mind. Mm-hmm. There's the lyric component, there's the beats component, and then did you just write on the CD with a Sharpie my music? So I figured amongst that trifecta, he was going to score high on the suck meter in one or more categories. And then I don't lie very well, so he was going to see it on my face. You're terrible. So I just avoided it. So one time we were going out. I don't know if it was dinner or a drive. He said, I need to stop by work. I left something there, but he didn't tell me what it was. It was his music. So when he came out with the music and got back in the car, I was like, I'm trapped. And but after I was trapped, we did listen to the music in the car. And I was amazed. The beats were professional. When he took it out, it was on a CD that had been professionally printed with the titles of the songs. Yeah. It had an actual cover, and at that time it was CDs. And on the CDs, it was imprinted. It had, you know, like a Sam Goodies or like a CD that you buy out of the store. Yeah. And so I was confused, and I said, "What is this?" He said, "That's my album." And so when I listened to it, as you know, it was exceptional. I could hear excitement, I could hear pain. Some of the songs sounded like they should be coming on in like a Minister Society type movie. Should be like the lead song with that crescendo. And so I was just very impressed.
That's awesome. But that's good though, because I mean, you want someone to be able to, you know, one, be truthful with you, and then, you know, kind of challenge you to be able to say, all right, well, if you saying you can do this, I want to see better from that. But I think this would be a great time to actually give our audience a little sample of your music. So do you want to introduce this song, this video we want to see right now?
Yeah. Before we do that, I just need to clarify something real quick though. When she say I used to spit these raps and they were horrible and they sucked on purpose. As she said, I'm very.
Oh, you were doing it intentionally. Okay.
Yeah. So I used to do little whack freestyles about funny, silly stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Sucked on purpose. It was a joke, but she didn't know. She actually thought that I was serious. That's why she was suck
you did the like. My name is Peaches.
Exactly. Okay. That's exactly what I did.
Got it. Well, we listen. You ain't got to prove nothing to us, but you do got to prove something to the audience.
I do. All right. So, introducing a snippet from my next song. This song is a story about my real life. The content is 100% authentic and real, but you're just gonna hear a few seconds of it today. A part of one of my verses. It's called "Eyes of a Desperate Man."
Okay, looking forward to it. All right, let's hear it.
Almost lost pops to an overdose, I'm still in the room. Odds against me from the beginning, I was already doomed. Only God knows what will happen from my birth to the tomb. So I entered into the world, my wrath was felt in the room. Came out screaming aggressively, a fighter was born. It's my introduction to Genesis, from there it was on. No idea once I got older how many deaths I would mourn. Should I seek revenge or forgiveness? My emotions were torn. Mom's two parents in one, she tried to guide me the most. Pops was right there in the house, but still his presence was ghost. Too far gone to reach him, though so physically close. A broken home where intoxication played the role as my host. Upbringing beyond the norm, I guess was setting the stage for the journey that I'm explaining about my coming of age. Over time, tears turn to anger, all the pain turn to rage. Now you've had a peek at my childhood, I'll be turning the page. Cause you ain't been where I've been, you ain't seen what I seen. You ain't walked in my shoes, have no idea what I mean. You ain't built for my blues, nor the things in between. In the eyes of a desperate man. So when I reflect on all the things that I've been through, thinking of all the wakes and cemeteries I've been to, the bloodshed of friends and relatives that I'm kin to. How could you ever understand eyes of a desperate man?
I love that. I love that. I wish we had a round of applause we can add into here, but I love it because it's such a story. You know, with what we hear caught up now in music, and you know, there's space for all that too. We're lost on music that tells stories. And I love the fact that you can hear anguish, you can hear pain, you can hear all that leads up to what you want to hear in a great story. It's almost like, Patrice was saying that you would hear it in almost like a movie. It's the score behind a great movie. So I love that. I love the eyes of pain. Say it again, the eyes of a desperate man.
Eyes of a desperate man.
Eyes of a desperate man. I love that. That's exceptional. So you said it's a part of your story, and what made that what came from out that pain from the eyes of a desperate man? What made you write about that, and what happened that you was able to use that from your own life?
Well, Eyes of a Desperate Man, the concept is the song, the whole song is actually 10 minutes long and some change, because I really dig deep and I go through a series of stories in my life from childhood all the way up to adulthood. So, throughout my life, I've dealt with a lot of loss. A lot of the people that were close to me were all murdered and killed. Just different story. Like I told you earlier, it started with my uncle who was killed at 25 years old when I was 12. And after that, it just seemed like I kept losing either closest friends or family members back to back due to gun violence. So, I just was thinking, I heard the beat and was like, I'm about to write a song about my life. I never knew it was going to end up being 10 minutes long, but it was so much content there that it just ended up being 10 minutes. And there's so much stuff that I left out. I could write a Eyes of a Desperate Man part 2 and it'd be a whole nother 10 minutes. Stuff that I didn't even include. So I needed to, music is like it's therapeutic. It's my outlet. Sometimes I feel a certain way, or I'm going through different things, or I'm in whatever different kinds of moods, and I might want to take some of the wrong actions or deal with it in the wrong kind of way. But music is my way of getting these things out of my system and getting them off of my chest, putting them on paper and putting it into song form. So that's how Eyes with Desperate Man came together.
So talk about that, and I should be calling you Dr. Holden, but how is it your program that you're using? Because you're part of what you're doing is working with people who are dealing with all these issues, and how has music allow you all to kind of be able to allow that to be therapy for them?
Well, the nonprofit that we work for is called So What Else? And the idea behind that is, so what else can we do to help people who are struggling in whatever capacity that might be applicable? So we deal with things from single parent households to children that just feel unseen, unheard, misunderstood. We also deal with financial issues, issues of hunger, and issues of children and teens trying to find their place in the world. So what we found is that in a lot of inner city communities, that the go-to for expressing emotions is bravado, anger, or some type of outward sign of aggression, because it is not a safe environment always in which to emote or to express anger, hurt, grief, or sadness.
Yeah.
It's seen in some cases as weakness, and that in some cases makes you a target or prey to some sort of happenstance. So what we found was, because Charles is so honest in his music, and many of these things, not all of them, either have a direct correlation to something he's been through, or there is a synergy to shared pain. So the one thing we found was that they believed him, and that getting a person, whether it's a child or an adult, to believe you because they feel that you have shared pain or understanding of their trauma, that was one of the biggest things. The other thing is he is very silly, and then so they connect to that. He also is very approachable, so he doesn't come in there. He's one of the most humble people. He never comes in as in, I am this talented musician. As oftentimes they say he raps until he actually starts with his programming, and they get to know him. They're like, wow, he's so I don't know what the cool words are these days, but one of the biggest things for us is that his music has been lauded by people, I'm going to say of our age group, so anywhere from 30 up to 70, as somebody called it audio food for the soul. And I was like, but we have had children of 10, of 8, of 12 say, that's tight, I like that song. And so for songs to have that amount of reach, from the youngest to the older generations, has to me just spoken of the human experience. And I think he's so poetic in the way he says things. Even in the song that we just heard, I said, well, you were just trying to say that you were misunderstood and that people didn't understand your journey. But what he said was, you ain't been where I've been. You ain't seen what I've seen. You ain't walked in my shoes, have no idea what I mean. And then he said, you ain't built for my blues, nor the things in between. And just that crafting of the word blues, the term built for, I saw it. And when he was speaking, when he was rapping, I could visualize these things happening. And I think that's the power of his music, that it's the visual that he hones into your pain. Because I didn't lose any relatives to murder, but I have lost relatives prematurely to death. And so sometimes grief is understood, even though it's not the equivalent happenstance. So it was a very healing song for me as well, listening to his journey and walking through my own pain, though a different path. There was shared grief and shared sadness as well.
Well, we have a lot of fans who are watching right now and are fans of you, and they want to say, we have Bianca Barnes saying hello with a little heart emoji. Mary Burgos, if I'm saying the name right, she said, hey. Chris gave this and it's lit. So lit is another word.
That's cousin Chris. Yeah.
Mary gets it. That's awesome. Round of applause for that. Joy Pernell Barnes said, hey son, do your thing. The Atticus, hey the Atticus.
Yes.
It says, hey Miss Barnes, the burritos were fire.
Wow.
I love this live chat.
A personal conversation about food. So,
he still has the Dark Alley album somewhere in the
house. That's great support. That is great support. I can remember. I can close my eyes and see the album cover visual right now.
Right.
Mary says you did that. I remember those. Well, are we still talking about the burritos?
Nah, she's talking about the Dark Alley album.
Are we still having this inside food conversation? I'm gonna need Miss Barnes to pass me over some too.
They were actually egg rolls, but yeah.
Oh, egg rolls.
They were an instant hit.
But that is
cousin Regina, hey.
That is so great, and it's so awesome that you see Michael with some cuz. So it's so great to know that one, because of the fact that hip hop and music and rap music, as people make the distinction, has gone through such an evolution, and people feel like the storytelling has been lost.
Right.
So what do you feel like in terms of like artists' challenges and some of the things you're excited about for your EP and what's to come?
I would say the challenges are trying to capture the ear of the younger, more modern generation, the ones who are growing up with mumble rap and that kind of music, and they think that that's what type music is. I think the challenge is grabbing their attention long enough to capture it and keep it to the point where it kind of takes them back to the roots.
Yeah.
What the original real hip hop rap music is supposed to sound like and how it's supposed to be, put together or whatever. Like there's more to it than a catchy beat or catchy hook or whatever, but it's actual it's more art to it. Like you can tell stories and you can actually paint pictures and, actually stay on topic and do a variety of things differently than kind of the way they're doing it. The thing I'm excited about is there are a lot of people that are from our time and our generations that they're longing and they're yearning for this kind of music. They feel like rap is dying because of this more modern kind of music.
Yeah.
People are very hungry to hear something like the stuff that I'm delivering. I hear people respond to my stuff all the time and be like, this is what the game is missing right now. Like this is a breath of fresh air. I've been so long waiting to hear something like this because we're flooded with the kind of music I just mentioned. So I'm excited to be able to deliver to people with me, myself. And that's another reason why I got back into music, because I'm just going to be real with you. I sit around all the time and I hear all of this modern music and I'm like, what is this? And I started thinking too, like once the hip hop literacy program was a hit, and I was like, man, instead of me sitting around complaining about, the kind of music and the content that I'm getting, I'm capable of making the kind of music that I want to hear and that other people want to hear. So that's what I'm excited to deliver a product that answers prayers globally.
I love that. Be the change you want to see in the world. I love it. Yeah. So who are some of your inspirations from the past and currently that you listen to and kind of can say that, this is where I can, not so much inspiration, but that you just enjoy listening to?
As a kid, before rap, I would say my first inspiration, just as far as music overall, was Michael Jackson.
Okay.
Michael Jackson. When it came to actual rap music, my first favorite rapper was Ice Cube. And after him, it was Scarface, and that's still my favorite rapper to this day.
Yeah.
Now, I got a long list of other rappers I like. Of course, I like Jadakiss. I like some of the Jay-Z music. I like Wu-Tang and modern rappers like Kendrick Lamar and other people like that. So I had a wide variety of different rap that I used to. I just like real bars, real topics, real hip hop.
So you are, as far as your music having the storytelling part, there is a poetry aspect of it. Do you, in terms of beyond just doing the songwriting, have just done poetry on its own?
Yes.
And are you perform it?
Most of the poetry that I've written is like for a personal, specific purpose. Like growing up throughout my life, every time like somebody in our family would die or something and there was a funeral, a lot of times family members knew I could write, or sometimes I'd even volunteer, but they would ask me like, do you think he could write a poem about the person that passed away? So the first time I did it, everybody loved it. And then I became the poem guy every time we lost a family member or a friend. And I even wrote poems for other people's like friends, family members who passed as well. So
that's great. So when you are looking for your album in terms of the visual component, because the song we do, Hours of Betrayal, just Eyes of the Feeding Man, I'm sorry. I was just thinking about the visual component to that. Where are you going to do a video for that as well?
I wasn't planning on it, but now I think I definitely am, because my videographer, the person who actually did my Trust and Betrayal video, he's recently going through something, and I think he lost a close friend to suicide just like days ago. And Patrice suggested he listen to my song. So he really felt my song and it resonated like what he was going through. We didn't get to hear it today in the snippet, but there is a part of the song where I mentioned that I also went through that. A very close friend of mine committed suicide. I hadn't seen him in 2 years, and he popped up at my house out the blue, and he killed himself that night right after he left my house.
Oh, wow.
So, the videographer heard it and he was listening to it and he really could relate to the content. And he said he was getting visuals and ideas as he was listening to it. So he came up with the idea of making it like a video / mini movie, because it is a 10-minute song, but I think I am going to do that.
Yeah, I definitely can see a little short film coming out of it, because it definitely plays into the cinematic of where your storytelling goes into play. Well, if you are thinking in terms of like the long-term goals for yourself, what are some of the things that you said you want to have accomplished from your career?
For my career, the main thing I want to do is just provide fans of music with consistent, great content. Like by the time I'm done and I hang it up, I want everybody to say, he never gave us trash. He never gave us nothing whack. From the time he started, he always kept it consistent. He never went off track or off base to where he ain't what he used to be. Because one of the things that, for me personally, like I can be a big fan of an artist, and I personally feel like a lot of the greatest out there, whenever they do fall off, it's due to them not sticking to the formula that made fans fall in love with them and their craft in the first place. And I think it's a matter of staying focused and knowing what your gems are, because a lot of times artists get caught up in trying to appeal to modern times or whatever's popular and trending at the moment. I personally think that's a big mistake, because the fan base that grew with you throughout your career are going to stay loyal to you, and they have a certain expectation of what they want to hear from you when you put a product out. So I know, like if I hear Dr. Dre or whoever it is coming out with a new album, I want to hear the Dr. Dre that I fell in love with when I heard Dr. Dre. I don't want to hear a different modern sound Dr. Dre that sounded more like what people are putting out now. I want to hear the Nothing But a G thing, Gin and Juice, the Chronic album, Dr. Dre. I want to always make sure that I never lose sight of that and deliver. When I hang it up, whether it's 2 albums, 3 albums, or 5, I want people to be like, nah, he always stayed on track, and his music, he started with a bang and he went out with a bang.
So what about in terms of the marketing, and how do you position yourself so that you have a more broader reach of people who are yearning for this kind of music?
I mean, I'm doing everything in my power to try to market it the best I can. I've been out the loop for 17 years, so a lot of things have changed from back when you were there. We used to go out and put flyers on cars, and we was doing this a whole nother way, but now we have social media, And I just have my street team is now like my family and friends. I, have them share stuff. I do a couple promos with different promotion companies and stuff like that. So I'm learning as I'm going, and I got a lot of people behind me that believe in me and they're supporting me. So my name is definitely circling across the globe right now in different areas.
We also do different things, and this is kind of a cute story too. Okay, so Eclipse is a consummate lyricist. I am a businesswoman, and I'm also a storyteller. I write and speak professionally. So when we decided after he was thrown into the foray that he was going to reassume his music career, I sought opportunities of every level. And Ms. Hayes, you will understand this. So I said, your music is poetry. And he's like, it's rap. I said, it's poetry. So I signed him up for open mic nights with poetry. He was like, I don't want to do this. It's poetry. And I said, slow the lyrics down, cut the music out. And let's see how it works.
Yeah.
And he got standing ovations. And then we did things like we did competitions, word competitions, where you would have to come in with different poetry challenges. And he said, this is not really what I do. And I said, I think it is. I think that if you go, you will find that it is what you do. We've gone on hip hop radio, but then we also seek out other opportunities that deal with the things that resonate true with him. Mental health, and a mental health panel. Yes, you belong there.
Yeah.
So to widen out, and I think for anybody that's watching, whatever you're doing, there are layers to it, and there is a community of people that need the breadth of what you're offering in all of the layers. So while I understand concentrating on the hip hop population or whatever nuance of business that you're doing, don't forget about those other places and position yourself with someone who keeps an eye on things that are complementary that you might not even think are a fit, because that has helped him also to find wonderful shows like this one.
And that is awesome, because if nothing else, Eclipse, you need to keep Dr. Holden in your corner, because that is one of the things and challenges. I've been in the shoes of managing artists. He knows, and trying to understand that you can't be, just one focus on one aspect of things. And it is like you have to think about things in a broader aspect, especially if everybody's doing it. Everybody's on YouTube, everybody's on social media. So you have to do things that's going to separate you and kind of go back to the grassroots ways of marketing yourself. Like it may not have to be passing out flyers, but just getting in the faces of people. So that's that's a really good thing to be able to have, and having, her being able to have you in your corner is awesome. So that's great. And that's great. So so the working partnership has built this. So how has your relationship translated? Are you managing, or Dr. Holden, are you managing him now? Or are you just kind of more in the consulting role?
No, I do manage him. And the wonderful thing is that we had a goodness gracious, 15-year friendship, 16, a long-term friendship that preceded this. So I think the management works very well, because I think if he just hired me cold without knowing me, or without having, the personal friendship, that there are things that I would not be able to get him to do. But because the trust is already there, and because we've gone through personal, battles with life, then he knows that I'm always going to move in his best interest, even when he may not understand it. And then some things I just sign him up for. Let's just be real. Yeah.
Like, oh no, we're doing this.
Exactly. Did you? And he's like, am I signed up? Yeah, it's done. It's done. Here's the day. And sometimes he'll be like, you can't do this. And I'm like, well, let me tell you the details. And then he always comes back later and he'll say something like, I gave it to you on that one, but it was one of the best decisions. Really now? Okay, remember that the next time that your name arbitrarily appears on something that you didn't know about.
Well, that's a great part about it. But do you, as far as Eclipse, in terms of the pushing something? Because a lot of times people will get in their way about getting to the next step, because it is kind of either trying to mirror someone else's kind of model on how they're doing it, and then or not really kind of figuring out a strategic plan for yourself. So, you know, as creating a team for you part of the strategy to kind of getting the next level where you want to go?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, Patrice really been pushing me and motivating me on levels unimaginable. I feel way more motivated than I ever did, like when I was in the group Dark Alley. Like, I'm way more confident in everything I'm doing. And, you know, slowly but surely, we've already been building a team. Like, some people just have been volunteering to just step in and take roles. Like, one thing I got to give credit to Deaticus, he been pushing and putting work into my stuff like it was his own product.
I love that.
He's been a great help in helping promote my music and just getting it out there and putting promos and all kinds of stuff together. Like, he just been working hard around the clock to help me and assist me with things that I'm doing. Even the videographer, we hired him to do my video, but now he's like part of the team. It's just all been coming together piece by piece.
That is great. And that's the best part about it, is when you have people who believe in you, then that's another part. And I always say, you know, for me, in terms of one of my mantras, I tell myself is that dreams should never have an expiration date. So whether it's been a 17-year hiatus, you know, you still put the same energy behind what you wanted to accomplish as you did when you first, you know, decided you wanted to pick up a mic.
Right.
So that's a great thing. But you know what? We're going to get into some more of your music. So let's go ahead and introduce this next song.
All right. So before I do that, I just want to make sure that I call my cousin Nicholas Parnell out, because he has some people who don't believe we actually cousins. They saw an interview, they heard my music, they thought he was lying. I told him I'd make sure I call him out for all the doubters and the people around him that don't believe it. Nicholas Parnell was definitely my cousin. So as we get into my next song, you will hear a snippet of my song called Game Over. This song is about lyrical domination, putting the trash rappers on notice, letting them know their time is limited.
Okay.
Once I get on it,
that's it.
Just it.
Okay. All right. But without further ado, let's get into Game Over.
Let's do it.
It's best to take precaution. You be warned of a heat advisory. Highly flammable, playing with fire just isn't wise to me. Scolding hot flames are burning the curious one who tries to see DOA right away, daring to be greatly. He tried to be hazardous to provoke me. I'm beyond human ability. My mind works at a pace of an abnormal agility. So feel the impact of a heart I'll be hitting. It's over in facts, so goodbye and good riddance. The bars are intact, there's a case you're forgetting. Cranking up the heat to the fire that I'm spitting. Now I'm quicker to aim, about to figure the flame. The flow is sick and insane, I'm pretty sick in the range. You wanna hit them spraying, you're getting caught up in the thick of the slaying. You're getting wet with every drip in the rain. It's like a click in the vein, like a brick in the cane. Hitting the tip of your frame to get a grip of the pain. You're being stripped of your fame. When I load to get the grip in the game, you out of pocket, better stick to your lane.
Okay. And it's so funny because I was like, wait, did I hear him speeding it up? Well, hold up now. You got a little twist on us right there. So what made you kind of give it that little extra with this? It was the part of the beat of the song that made you kind of go there, because it seemed like you're more than a melodic, but I liked it. But it seemed like that was something different of what you normally would do.
Well, it was a combination of things. I mean, I don't know if you remember now, but I used to do that a lot, even on a lot of the Dark Alley songs. Like, that's one of the things I was known for the most. Like, I've always had the melodic, the deeper stuff, but I've also had ridiculous switch up of flows. Like, I would be rapping one way on one part, and then I would blindside you with a whole nother flow, would just speed it up out of nowhere. So part of it was definitely the beat, because Patrice was saying, she was like, man, you capable of so much more than what you're doing. I need you to do some flow switches. And I had already been planning on doing it, but I'm the type of writer where I write directly to the music. Like, I don't just pick a beat and write a rap. Like, I literally write to the instruments I'm hearing, how they played, and whatever the mood is of the instrument, and how they all come together as a unit. So that was the beat I was looking for that was going to make me speed the flow up.
And most of your production stuff, are you still doing stuff with Mo, or are you working with other producers?
That track was produced by Mo Digger.
Okay.
Yeah. So the other the other two beats, Eyes of a Desperate Man and The Trust and Betrayal, was produced by a guy named Boger.
Okay.
I'm most certainly still working with Mo Digger as well.
It always sticks in my mind. One of the things that Mo used to say, and Dennis is gonna laugh about it. He was like, "I love Indian music." So
that was classic. I remember that.
So it's one of those things where it's just like, it's so great, because one of the things that has been missing, one of the things I was always wanting to have happen, we have Wale out of DC, but having more rappers come out of the DMV, because they're, we're the origin, and I say we because I'm from the DC area, of music that from go-go. So we have that. So, we have that foundation where we're the starting point of music. And so I'm surprised that there hasn't been more. And I guess because people always look for New York rappers to be that. But that's, one of those things. I hope that with you, that you're making this, and being, I hope that encourages and inspires other rappers who are out there, especially with there being social media, your platform to be used and reach to a lot more people.
Yeah.
So have you, in terms of music wise, are you consciously staying away from any kind of incorporation of go-go music, or are you more trying to make it with a more universal appeal?
Far as go-go, I wouldn't necessarily put it on my personal album, because I want my album to stay in that rap category, but I'm most definitely willing to work with any go-go artists or bands on other kinds of projects. I'm definitely open to it. That's just not the specific sound that I'm going for my personal album.
Okay. So you wouldn't take a track that would, say, for instance, like Rich Harrison, how he did with Beyonce or Jill Scott, and use in the kind of infusion of that into some of your music?
No, I probably would. I just have to like it when I hear it. Like, it could happen 2 weeks from now. Somebody might pass me a track that might have some congos and, go-go implementation into it. And I might be like, you know what? Let me use this, because this actually fits with the roots of where I'm from. It's not like 100% go-go sound, but the elements are there. And it also still has the balance of the sound that I want with rap, but that home root of go-go is also there as well. So, I'm open to it. It's possible. It's just a matter of me hearing something that grabs my attention to make me want to do it.
And to Chris's point, he's saying there's so much talent is overlooked, and it's mainly the city not having faith in himself, which is baffling, which is true, because one of the things that we and again, although I'm in New Jersey, I'm always DC born and bred, but have against us is that we don't support hip hop artists in our own city.
Yeah.
Support New York and Texas and Florida and any place else, but any artists that come out of the DMV, it's like, whereas everybody in their own state support their own artists. Like, people have been, they've been local celebrities before they actually became mainstream. So there's that thing. So that challenges it in terms of being able to get there. But good thing is that I guess the great thing about social media now is that you're able to now create a wider audience where people will say that if you can't get your local people to like you, then how do you think that's going to sound? But now it's like, if you get a social media audience to like you, then it's just the same thing. So that's great that you would have that. But I think it's so great that you are really, getting back into something that has always found you. And see, I guess that's the thing about the evolution of your life, because you said it was something you ran to, but it called you out. And I think with Dr. Holding doing what she's done in your life has been the same thing that's happened over again. So I'm proud of you. I'm proud of what you're doing. I'm thankful that you have an angel on your wings pushing you forward in the Dark Squad, making it happen with you. So I'm there with you.
Yeah, definitely a champion.
Yeah, absolutely.
That means a lot.
So do you want to say anything? Because like I said, there are people, like, you work with the youth. There are young people who are looking into getting into this business. What advice would you give them about just starting out?
I would give them advice for starting out, like, just learn to master the art of rhyming words, and then flip those rhyming words into telling your own story. Learn how to take those words and then use them to translate your moods, your feelings, your struggles, your joy, your pain, and put it onto paper and put it into a song. You'd be really surprised what you can do if you pour your heart out using rhyming words or the artistic form of making a song. Like, talk about the things that you're going through or the way that you feel, and write these things down and learn how to make a song out of it.
That's so great. I mean, and that's the thing about it. People need to look to the fact that you have the experience in being able to really teach and, others on how to be able to do this. So you know what you're talking about. And that's the knowledge that goes into being a successful musician and rapper. This game is actually learning the business and learning what it takes to be a part of it. Right. I just want to thank you both, Dr. Holden and Eclipse, for coming on and sharing your journey and telling us about what you got going on. I'm looking forward to seeing more and hearing more of your music and you sharing your, pain with us, because although, people want to hear the fun, love inside, it's still something we still need to recognize that, we live with pain all day long, even though, we smile through it. So right. I thank you for sharing that. And thank you so much for joining us tonight.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yes, I want to, piggyback what Sha said, and I appreciate both of you for taking some time out to be on the show. I'm glad we were able to pull this together. Yes. It was wonderful hearing your journey. Eclipse, you definitely have a champion, right by your side, and Dr. Holden, it was a pleasure having you on the show as well. Thank you. I just want to say thank you both.
Likewise, I thank y'all for having me. It's an honor to be on here. It definitely is. I appreciate it.
All right. I must say, I wish we had a round of applause, but we're giving it up to you this time.
All right.
All right. Well, do you have anything else to say before we end the show?
Yes, to anybody that's watching, I just want to say my video for Trust and Betrayal, if you follow me at Dark Squad Entertainment on Instagram, the link is in my bio. If you want to just look it up on YouTube, type in Eclipse, Trust and Betrayal. It is also on all streaming platforms as well. If you want to download it or listen to it on Spotify, Apple Music, Tidal, wherever, you can go find it. My full album.
Support y'all.
Yeah, support is definitely welcome. Bring it. I need it all.
Yeah.
My full album, hopefully I'm trying to get out in May. It's been a slight delay. I got a photo shoot coming up. So once that's done, I will wrap up the last couple songs of my album, then move into mixing and mastering mode. And hopefully I can get a good product out to y'all as soon as possible. I got 4 more songs that I got to wrap up. So come in as soon as I can get it done. Just be patient with me, and I promise you won't be disappointed.
And then Ms. Hayes, his album is aptly called Unfinished Business. So you'll appreciate that.
Okay, well, there you go.
We're looking forward to it. We want to get a copy of it. So
yeah,
be sure.
Definitely, without question.
I'm buying it. I don't need to send me no copy. I'm buying it. All right. Thank you so much. And you too, to the audience. Thank you all for joining us on Inspire. This has been a great episode of us learning about Eclipse journey, and to Dr. Holden for joining us and being the champion for Eclipse and just being someone in your life. And we all need that. I mean, sometimes you have to be that for yourself, but to have someone around you to be that person. And that's so great. And Dark Squad and all those who are part of that, we thank you all. And for anyone who wants to be a part of the show, who knows someone that's been an inspiration to their life or wants to share their journey about how they've gotten into their career, please follow us on everything. Email us at inspirebyanonis@gmail.com, or follow us on all things at Inspire by Enonus. This has been such a great show. Again, if you know anyone, make sure you all come in and let us know to be a part of the show. You could just email us. And we would thank you all for watching. Until then, we inspire together.